What's up, guys? We are back with Week 6 Monday Night Football action. We are going to do a deep dive on this matchup between the Buffalo Bills and the New York Jets and see what kind of value we can find on the side and on the total, and we're going to take a good hard look at the player props as well. Also, I'm going to break down both MLB games, Game 2 between the Mets and Dodgers, and Game 1 between the Guardians and the Yankees. Sunday didn't go exactly according to plan, guys. We did find some wins out there. Started the day off strong with a win on the Green Bay Packers at -5.5. They handled business there very easily against the Cardinals. We had the Patriots. I know, a big underdog pick there that did not work out. Patriots plus 6.5, absolutely no good at all. Seems like that defense kind of has given up on themselves. We followed that up with a nice win on Tampa Bay -3.5. It was a little bit of a sweat. They jumped out to that massive lead. Then we saw things get tied up. I believe the Saints even took the lead there for a minute, but Tampa Bay eventually came through with a big win. We thought this crazy trend of underdog teams, bigger than 7-point underdogs doing so well, would flip here, but the Eagles guys could not come through for us as an 8.5-point favorite. Lots of crazy stuff going on there for Philadelphia. Unfortunately, we hit two big bumps in the road there on our underplays on the Chargers and Denver game and on the Pittsburgh Steelers and Las Vegas Raiders game. Neither one of those unders came through. One of them was very close. One of them was not very close. Really thought all four of those offenses would struggle, but that was not the case. We did finish things off well with a solid win on the Bengals -3.5. A late touchdown there easily put us over the top, so we'll take the win there, but 3-4 on an action-packed Sunday was absolutely not what we were looking for. So let's hop back in here and see if we can find some value on this big time Monday Night Football matchup. If you want to win all of your Monday bets, hit that like button. It's good luck and shows support for the channel and all the hard work we're putting in here every single day. Subscribe to the channel so you don't miss out on our daily content. You can now also sign up for a channel membership by clicking the little join button right below the video. Members get exclusive early access to all NFL and college football videos and get their names up on screen just like right now. I really appreciate the support from all of you. Seeing that little badge next to your comments absolutely warms my heart. Our videos are sponsored by StumpTheSpread.com. We have a team of experienced cappers over there for every major sport, currently covering NFL, NCAA football, UFC, NHL, and the MLB. And we have the NBA season tipping off right around the corner. This is one of the best times of the year to be in the mix with so many sports going on. Click the link in the description if you're interested in signing up, and also to join our free email list to get the occasional free or premium pick straight to your inbox. Comment below with any bets you're looking at today, and we will give you our best advice on all of them. We are committed to responding to every single comment every day, so let us know anything you want to say about my picks, these videos, or anything you see here. As always, our favorite picks will be in the pinned comment down below. Now let's get into the Buffalo Bills going on the road to take on the New York Jets in a Monday night AFC East showdown. The Bills come into this game with quite a few question marks and fresh off of tough back-to-back losses. Rough stuff there last week, losing at the Houston Texans. The Josh Allen concussion situation was really the big story to come out of that game. Yeah, losing 23-20, not great, but yeah, that dude definitely had a concussion. All the doctors, everything, all the news that's coming out, like, sure, you're not going to trick me, guys. He didn't roll his ankle. It wasn't from him taking a big shot in the chest. It was from him bouncing his gourd off of the field. That was a crazy hit there. He was out cold there for a second. You could definitely see it. There's some interesting videos out there that you can see, but he definitely had a severe concussion. So we'll see what we get from him in this game. It's pretty wild that he was allowed to come back into that game. You can say whatever you want about the concussion protocols, but those are supposed to be rules. He should not have been allowed to come back into that game. He had a terrible game anyway, 9 of 30, 1 touchdown, 1 sack. He wasn't picked off, but passed for only 126 yards. Tried to make up for it on the ground a little bit, but clearly was not himself out there. We saw James Cook run the ball pretty effectively there against the Texans, but overall not the kind of day we expect to see from this Buffalo Bills offense, at least generally speaking. On the defensive side of the ball, they did some positive things. They picked off CJ Stroud once. They did some things there to limit the running game there for Houston, but they didn't have Mixon out there, so that wasn't, the full strength, a Houston Texans running game. In general, I don't think we're too pumped about what we saw there from the Bills on defense. I guess generating 2 turnovers isn't bad, but overall, kind of a little bit of a tough look there for this defense. It hasn't necessarily been amazing this season. So we've got a few question marks about the Bills here. I mean, over the course of the year, they've played a relatively, I would say decent, but not elite schedule. I mean, obviously their last 2 weeks going up against Houston and Baltimore, both road games, those are tough ones. But yeah, that blowout win over Jacksonville, that's looking pretty pedestrian. A blowout win at Miami, that's basically worthless at this point. And then that week 1, very close, very competitive win over the Arizona Cardinals. who continue to flounder. So yeah, definitely plenty of room for questions here about the Buffalo Bills. Their passing game definitely looks like they're missing Stephon Diggs. They don't have a great, awesome, pass catching option out there for Josh Allen, and that can make his life a bit harder. So we're a bit worried about the Buffalo Bills right now. Looking at their injury report for this game, guys, James Cook is questionable. He did practice on Saturday, but was limited. It's still very up in the air whether or not he's going to play in this game. He might. It's definitely a possibility, but is he going to be at 100%? We'll have to wait and see. I do not expect him to be at 100% if he even plays in this game, and they could be limiting his touches a little bit, although that seems slightly unlikely to me, but we'll just have to wait and see what he's actually like out there on the field. Shakir was also limited in Saturday practice. He's questionable. We really can't tell, like in definite terms whether he's going to play in this game, but really, other than those two, the offense is technically healthy. But guys, I'm very, very worried about the health of Josh Allen in this game. Usually guys that suffer concussion, usually they sit out a week, but if they don't, they're usually not very good, at least for a week, maybe for 2 weeks. So we'll see what happens here with Josh Allen, but I'm definitely concerned for him. On defense, Ed Oliver is listed as out, so missing him from the defensive line, not a great look. Teron Johnson is questionable with his forearm issue, but that's less big of a deal either way. Not great for the defense, generally speaking. A little bit banged up, but overall not nearly the same unit as they started out this season, so they've lost some guys for the year and stuff like that. It's been a bit of a tough injury season for the Bills, especially on defense. So we'll see what they can get done here. I don't think this is really going to be the best version of the Bills that we see out there on Monday night. They're taking on the Jets in this one, a team that has had a very tumultuous week, guys. Getting rid of Salah might be a net positive for the offense, as clearly he and Rodgers has some kind of problem out there, but the Jets offense has not been amazing, and that's really falling on the shoulders there of Aaron Rodgers. He's the guy that's supposed to be running the show effectively, and it has not looked amazing. The Jets are the #1 defense in the NFL in yards per play allowed, and I don't see a big drop off from Salah leaving, coming in that direction. So we'll see what they can do. They've been having a rough time as well, obviously losing 23-17 against the Vikings last week. Not the worst look. The Vikings are obviously very, very good, but the week before that, losing 10-9 against Denver, that's a pretty embarrassing one. The Jets have not had a tough schedule this season, so yeah, definitely plenty of question marks. Rodgers looked really bad against the Vikings, getting picked off 3 times. I don't think he's a guy you want throwing the ball 54 times in a game anymore, though. That just really is not where he's at in his career, and you can't blame the dude's getting pretty old. And it's not like he has an insane group of weapons out there, although I would say they're being undervalued right now and even slightly underutilized by Aaron Rodgers. He was sacked 3 times last week, so that's not great. You don't want to see a guy his age getting put on his back. They also could not really get the running game going, guys. I mean, we saw Hall and Allen combined for 14 carries and 36 yards, so very, very weak stuff there in the running game. Could not run the ball well, didn't do a great job of protecting Aaron Rodgers. They've got to be pretty excited to be going up against a team that has a slightly depleted defensive line. That's got to be at least a little bit helpful for this offensive line. We did see Garrett Wilson have a big game out there, 13 catches for 101 yards and a touchdown. He was targeted 23 times in the game. That's such a huge number, it almost seems like it has to be incorrect, but with Rodgers throwing 54 passes, it's definitely possible. But man, wild stuff out there for Garrett Wilson. We'll see if he can back that up with a good performance here, but yeah, seems a little bit crazy to me. Obviously, they were going a little bit pass happy in that game, but there wasn't a whole lot they could do. They could not move the ball on the ground. So yeah, we'll see what they can do out there on offense this week. It's got to improve a little bit. On defense, guys, they did a good job of holding the Vikings passing attack in check, and generally speaking, this Jets defense is excellent. Very, very good on the defensive side of the ball. Kind of makes the firing of Salah look weird because he was the defensive coach effectively, so it doesn't really make any sense. It was the offense that was struggling, so whatever. But yeah, last week they didn't do a terrible job of slowing down the run by Minnesota. Justin Jefferson did get off for 92 yards on 6 catches, but he only caught 6 of his 14 targets. Really, when you're dealing with that caliber of wide receiver, that kind of performance is pretty much assumed. So if you can hold him to something like that, I don't think it's a terrible look. So overall, did not hate what I saw from the Jets defense last week. Some pretty decent stuff, and like I was saying, over the course of the season, that defense has been excellent. They're giving up only 17 points per game. That is tied for 5th in the NFL. They're actually the worst team in the NFL in terms of average rushing yards per game, so that's a big thing here that we are going to be monitoring. So guys, looking at the injury report for this team on offense, everything's looking good. Tyler Conklin is the only starter on the report, and he's been questionable in practicing all week, so I would say the odds are that he's very likely to end up playing in this game. On defense, Michael Carter II is out with his back injury, so the secondary is not going to be quite at 100%, and CJ Mosley is technically questionable with his toe injury, but most of the signs that I'm seeing are pointing towards him being very likely to end up playing in this game. So the Jets definitely, I would say, a good amount healthier than the Buffalo Bills coming into this game. So that's a nice little positive for them. In terms of the weather for this game, guys, we've got some interesting stuff out there. It's a little bit cold compared to what we've seen so far this season, but the real concern in this one is the wind. We are going to be seeing consistent winds for this game in the low teens with possible gusts up to 30 miles per hour. That is very windy, guys. I don't know if you've tried to throw very many things out in the wind when it's 30 miles an hour or kick a football, but it is not going to go the same. 30 miles an hour is a lot. I think that could have a big effect on the passing game and a huge effect on the kicking game, guys. This could be a game where it is very, very difficult to be making kicks any deeper than, 20, 30 yards. We'll see what happens. Obviously, that is if we're getting lots of those 30 mile per hour gusts. If it's just in the teens, that can be much more playable, but definitely something to be aware of in this game. Looking at some trends for this one here, guys. Buffalo, they are 2-3 against the spread this season. They are 3-2 this year to the under. The Jets are 2-3 against the spread this year as well. They are 3-1-1 to the under this season. Guys, I for sure like the Jets and the points in this spot. We were hoping that it would move up more towards 3, but it's going in the opposite direction. It's all the way down to +1.5. Premium members got this pick much earlier in the week at +2.5. So yeah, definitely consider signing up over there. At minimum, you're going to get the best plays, and at maximum, you're going to get the best plays and the better lines. But it doesn't look like Josh Allen is going to be at his normal level in this game. I'd be very shocked to see him coming off that significant head injury, just going out there like nothing happened. Being on a home divisional underdog is always a good feeling. The assumption is that the public is going to be big on the Bills in this game, and fading the public is always a nice thing to do. The dead cat bounce here is in effect for the Jets after firing their head coach. Usually teams, after they fire their head coach, have a much better performance in the next week. The week after that, things can get a little bit sketchy, but right now we are loving this spot with the Jets and the points playing at home. In terms of the over-under for this game, we've got a pretty small number out there of only 41, but guys, this looks like a great under spot to me. There's enough wind, I think, to impact the passing game, and if not the passing game, at least the kicking game in this one, and both teams are going to want to run the ball here. The Jets definitely need to get back to running the ball, something they have struggled with, and guys, the Jets defense is elite. Their offense has not looked very good at all. That is a recipe for not too many points. Also, 6 of the last 7 games between AFC East opponents have gone under. So we definitely like the under in this game as well. So that's my lean on the side and on the over-under. Let's go ahead and jump into some player props, guys. And in terms of the player props that I like for this one, we have Josh Allen here at the top of the list. We've got him at under 199.5 passing yards at only -105. I don't think they're going to be able to throw the ball that well in this game. They've struggled to throw the ball, generally speaking, this season. Over the course of the year, the Bills are averaging 181.6 passing yards per game. I think Josh Allen is going to have a below average for him performance in this one, dealing with probably some brain fog, honestly, from having his just brain rattled around in his skull last week. So I don't think he's going to be doing a very good job of finding open receivers. Another Josh Allen prop that I like is another under. I don't think he's going to have a great time running the ball here against this Jets defense. They're fast, they can fly around, and they have enough size and enough speed to take him down. I like Josh Allen under 34.5 rushing yards at -125. He hasn't been having crazy success running the ball, or at least he didn't last week, and I think we could definitely see that continue into this game, especially given that I think he's going to be not at 100% out there. Following right along with that trend, guys, we're looking at Braylon Allen. I think the under 34.5 rushing yards for him at -135 is pretty reasonable. The guy's only broken 35 yards once this season. I don't think he's going to be having an amazing time out there in this one. Definitely not somebody I trust to get a ton of carries, and I don't trust him to have very much success with the carries that he does get. Next up, guys, we've got a Jets prop here. We've got Allen Lazard out there. He's been having a very interesting season. Definitely seems like a wide receiver target that Aaron Rodgers is certainly pretty fond of. I like him over 35 receiving yards at -120. He had 9 targets last week. It was a miracle he only ended up with 34 yards. Every other week this season, guys, he's gotten over that 35-yard mark. So I think this will be a little bit of a bounce back for him. I think he easily gets over that 35 yards, and you could even find a bigger number out there and bet on that. I think he could have a pretty nice day. I wouldn't go too crazy. I am a little bit worried about the wind in this game. Also, guys, I like Lazard at 1+ touchdown. It's +260. He's scored touchdowns this season in 3 out of 5 weeks. I think it's a pretty solid spot there, getting over 2.5 to 1 that he could find his way into the end zone. Rodgers is always looking for him. Seems like a reasonable spot to me. Here in a little bit of a interesting bounce back kind of spot, I like Breece Hall at 50 plus rushing yards. You can get that at minus 135. The Bills, not a great defense against the run, and guys, windy games make more running happen. So I do think we'll see him get a good amount of action there, and I do think we'll see him have a little bit more success. The dude's not a terrible running back. I know the Jets' offensive line hasn't been that great at run blocking, but I do think we see him do a little bit better in this one and get a good amount of action. I also think on that same side of the coin, guys, taking Breece Hall to get over 12.5 rushing attempts at minus 120 makes a good amount of sense to me. I think we're going to see him get a lot of action there in the running game. They're going to want to, try and establish the running game. It's been a bit rough out there. They need that to take pressure off of the passing game being so constant. So yeah, guys, those are my leans there on Monday Night Football. We're going to go ahead and hop over now to some MLB playoff action. Hey guys, jumping in here with a quick ad break. First of all, this is a great time to sign up at stumpthespread.com. Signing up for a premium membership gets you access to our entire team of cappers covering MLB, NCAA football, UFC, and the NFL. If you just want to test out the service, a great way to do that is by joining our free email list, which will get the occasional free or premium pick straight to your inbox. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe to the channel if you're new, and become a channel member for early access to all of our NCAA football and NFL videos. Now guys, back to the games. First on the docket, guys, we are looking at the New York Mets going on the road to take on the LA Dodgers. This has been a pretty highly anticipated series here. Obviously, game one was a crazy one with the Dodgers coming away with a 9-0 win behind an absolute gem there from Jack Flaherty. He looked fantastic out there. In this one, guys, we still don't have a confirmed starter for the Dodgers, but to me, it definitely looks like this is going to be something of a bullpen start kind of situation. The Mets come into this game obviously hoping that their offense can bounce back a little bit. That 9-0 loss there, pretty rough stuff. We've seen the Dodgers pitching staff look very, very good, but yeah, the Mets just not having a good time in that game, only managing 3 hits. They also had 2 errors in the game, so a lot of sloppy play there for the Mets. I mean, it's game 1 of the series, but you need to figure your stuff out. You cannot be giving away games here. This is way, way too tight of a situation. So we'll see what they can do in this one, see if they can bounce back at the plate, and we'll see what kind of start they get out of Sean Manaea. He went 12-6 this season, a 3.47 ERA, so very, very good stuff there. His last start was back on the 8th against the Phillies, and he was lights out, guys. 7 innings, 3 hits, only a single earned run allowed. He struck out 6 and walked 2 in that game. So very, very good stuff from Manaea. Absolutely nothing to complain about there. Unfortunately, we don't have any recent history for him going up against the Dodgers. He faced them back in April. So yeah, April 19th, it was a 9-4 win there for the Mets. Manaea went 5 innings, gave up 4 hits and 2 earned runs in that game. He walked 3, struck out 3. Obviously, guys, that start is way too long for us to be taking that too aggressively into account here. He has been throwing the ball well over his last few starts. He did have a bit of a hiccup there at Milwaukee back on the 27th of last month, but yeah, we'll see what he can do in this one. Generally speaking, I'm expecting good stuff from Sean Manaea. What do we expect to see when he comes out of the game? So in terms of the Mets bullpen, it's a bit up in the air, not going to lie. This hasn't been my favorite bullpen over the course of the season. They did get better over the course of the year, no doubt about that. And they've been good in the playoffs. They've been all right. I wouldn't say they've been elite. They probably haven't been as good as the Dodgers bullpen, but obviously having Manaea on the mound in this game definitely looks like a pretty favorable situation there for the Mets, at least in my opinion. So we'll see what they get from the pitching staff in this game. I'm not feeling terrible about it. We'll also see what they get here from the offense. Obviously, seeing Lindor, when you've got your top 3 guys in the lineup, top 4 guys in the lineup, top 5 guys in the lineup going 0 in a game, things did not go well. I expect most of these guys to bounce back here, even going up against a very solid Dodgers bullpen. This Mets team has kind of felt like the team of destiny this season, like they can hit the ball, and they can really hit the ball, it feels like, in pressure situations. They were the 7th highest scoring team in the MLB this season, so this is not a bad offense, guys. I know they looked bad in game 1, but I do not think that is something that we can count on continuing here in game 2 or really throughout the rest of the series. This is definitely a team that can hit. So looking at probably a bounce back here for the Mets offense, although it wouldn't take much for it to qualify as a bounce back. Their opponent in this game, the Dodgers, got to feel great about how game 1 went, guys. Defending home field advantage there has to feel great. Seeing Flaherty have a great outing, that has to feel very, very good, especially for a team that has kind of questionable situations here a lot of the time dealing with their starting pitching situation. So we'll see what they can do in this one. Obviously, they're expecting, we're expecting a bullpen start here. That could change, so stay tuned to that pin comment if we see some sort of big adjustment here. But I think we're going to see a bullpen start from the Dodgers, which makes sense to me. They don't have great starting pitching, but they do have a very, very good and relatively deep bullpen. They've been one of the better bullpens in the major leagues over the course of the season. So pulling out the old bullpen start here in game 2 makes all the sense in the world to me. I think they'll figure things out. I think we can expect at least a decent outing here from, the Dodgers pitching staff, just generally speaking. In terms of their offense, obviously putting up 9 runs there in game 1 of the series has to feel great. We saw good stuff from Ohtani. He had a couple of hits. He did get thrown out trying to steal a base, so that's not ideal, but other than that, not a lot of negatives. We saw good stuff from Mookie Betts. Freddie Freeman seems like that ankle's feeling a bit better. Things are just working out for this offense right now. We saw good stuff at the bottom of the order, good stuff at the top of the order. There were a few guys in the middle of the order that struggled, but overall, you put up 9 runs, gotta feel fantastic about that, guys. Really no major downsides here for the Dodgers in game 1. So we'll see what they get in game 2 from this offense, but they've been one of the scariest offensive teams in the majors all season long. It's not like that they cover off the ball in their last game against the Padres, winning 2-0, but they're the second highest scoring team in the majors this year. This team can absolutely hit it. So looking at the numbers for this game, guys, we've got the Mets at plus 125. We've got the Dodgers at minus 140. We've got an over-under of 8.5 in this game. The Mets, not a terrible road team this year, 42-38 on the road. The Dodgers, a great home team, 54-29 at home. We've got both teams showing trends towards the over in this situation. The Mets are a slight over team on the road. The Dodgers are a big over team at home, 47-32-4 to the over at home this season. With an over-under number of 8.5, though, that's a pretty large amount of runs to ask to be scored. So we'll see how that goes. Not in love with the over-under here, and I'm not super duper in love with the side, but I do think the value in this one, assuming that this is a bullpen start here from the Dodgers, is to go ahead and take the Mets at plus 125. I think they bounce back here a little bit, even up the series. I think we see a little less sloppy play from the Mets, and I think we see those bats come back alive. So definitely siding with the Mets here. In terms of the over-under, I would maybe side just slightly towards under 8.5, but that is not a play that I have a ton of confidence in, guys. That would, kind of be banking on a good start from Manaea and good stuff there from the Dodgers bullpen, which definitely not impossible that ends up being what we see. Now, guys, let's go ahead and jump into some props here. First up, I do think this is a pretty reasonable spot to look at the no-run first inning. It's minus 120. I don't think that's terrible. That's not a bad price at all. Obviously, the Dodgers pitching situation is a bit up in the air, so definitely keep an eye on that. But with Manaea on the mound, a decent Dodgers bullpen start probably incoming here. And, we'll see what kind of offense we get from these two teams in this game. But I do think no-run first inning at minus 120. If you really, really, really want to play a no-run first inning play, that makes the most sense to me. In terms of some player props here, guys, starting off on the Dodgers side, I like Mookie Betts to get a hit in this game. That seems very, very reasonable to me. I'm expecting him to have a good day out there. The dude is an absolute monster, and just getting a hit seems very easy. I also like what we're seeing from Ohtani right now. The dude's swinging the bat really, really well. He's a little bit overdue to get a hold of one and hit a home run. I think Ohtani to get a home run, I think you can get a fairly reasonable price on that. I think that makes a good amount of sense to me here as well. I also think Teoscar Hernandez to get a hit in this game, drawing very, very live. The dude's been a monster. He's in a little bit of a bounce back spot, guys, after going 0 for 3 with 2 walks. So obviously not a bad night, but that's what he did in game 1. I think we easily see him get on the board with a hit here in game 2. In terms of the Mets side here, I like Francisco Lindor to bounce back and get a hit. You could also take him over 1.5 bases. No problem with that at all. I think we're going to see a very, very good outing from him. I also like Pete Alonso if you're looking for a home run prop there for the Mets. He's a little bit overdue. It's a little bit tougher to look at home run props here going up against a bullpen start, but he's live absolutely every time he comes to the plate. I also like Mark Vientos to get a hit in this game. He's been swinging the bat relatively well. I like what we're seeing from him. I think there's a very good shot. He bounces back from that 0 for 4 night in game 1, and he's second in the batting order. He's going to get plenty of plate appearances in order to get that hit. So that's my lean on the first MLB game of the day, guys. Now we're going to go ahead and jump over and look at the Cleveland Guardians going on the road to take on the New York Yankees in game 1 there of the ALCS. Cleveland comes into this game, got to be feeling pretty great. Obviously, things worked out for them in a pretty tight series there against the Detroit Tigers. Yeah, getting the win in a skewball start there to finish things off has to feel great for them. They are going to be handing the ball in this game to Alex Cobb. He's 2-1 on the season, a 2.76 ERA on the year. But guys, big concerns here. His last time out did not go well. He was involved in that 3-0 loss at Detroit. Yeah, he went 3 innings, gave up 3 hits, 2 earned runs, struck out 2 and walked 1. Not the best outing at all. Definitely seems a bit sketch. It's game 1 here, so they've got plenty of rope to work with, but is that rope really rope that you want to be handing to Alex Cobb after that terrible start? Maybe he can bounce back here. I'm not saying it's impossible, but man, it feels like a bit of a big ask. You got to bounce back against the New York Yankees in the playoffs. That seems like kind of a big yikes to me. So worried about Alex Cobb out there, But on the other hand, I'm not worried about this Guardians bullpen. They were the best bullpen in the major leagues over the course of the season. I think whenever Alex Cobb gets in trouble or whenever he has to come out of this game, that bullpen is going to be right there, ready and waiting to take the ball and just pick up the slack and come in there, and I'm not going to say dominate necessarily, it is the Yankees, but I expect them to have a very good time. So I'm a little bit worried, not super worried about the Guardians pitching situation, so going to keep an eye on that. We'll see what they can do here offensively. Obviously, over the course of the season, this was a middle-of-the-road offensive team, but over the last few games, they looked very, very good. They scored 7 and 5 runs over the last 2 games there against the Tigers. They did get shut out in 2 games in that series too, so, you got to take the good with the bad, but they hit the ball when it mattered the most. So definitely take that. They've got a couple really good guys there at the top of the order in Quan and Jose Ramirez. So I'm expecting decent stuff from this offense here. We'll see what we actually get from them. But yeah, I would say we're at minimum expecting decent stuff from the Cleveland Guardians. And part of that here, guys, is their opponent in this game. Obviously taking on the New York Yankees here. The Yankees won their series against the Royals in 4 games, winning that last game 3-1. So very good stuff there for the Yankees. Gotta be excited about that. Yeah, they've been one of the best teams in the majors this season. You would sure hope that would be the case after, such an insane payroll. But hey, you got the money, you might as well spend it. The Yankees are going to be handing the ball in this game to Carlos Rodon. He's 16-9 on the year with a 3.96 ERA. He got off to an insane start, hit a lot of a really big skid there for a while, but seemed like he righted the ship. Unfortunately for the Yankees, his last time out on the mound back on the 7th, guys, he did not have a good time against the Royals. 3 2/3 innings, 7 hits, 4 earned runs, including a home run allowed. He did strike out 7 and walk 0 in that game, but that's even more concerning to me because that means he had pretty much his A+ stuff and he was able to get some swings and misses, but my God, was he running into some bats in that game. So definitely a bit worried about Rodon out there. I mean, we'll see what he can do. I'm not going to hold my breath for a good Rodon start. That's not really going to be something that I'm too interested in. He hasn't faced the Cleveland Guardians yet this season, which, I mean, that may be a little bit surprising. But yeah, no history here to go off of, so we'll see what he does in this game. But yeah, I'm concerned. I'm at least concerned, and I would think any big-time Yankees fan that's watched what Rodon has done over the course of the year would be a bit concerned as well. So we'll see what we get from him. Not too worried about what we get from the bullpen. The Yankees bullpen has been pretty reliable this season, generally speaking, and pretty reliable here in the playoffs. So not super concerned about that, but I am concerned about their starting pitching situation. Kind of a similar-ish deal to what we've got going on for the Guardians, where I'm worried about their starter, not as worried about their bullpen. So we'll see what happens there in terms of their offense. The Yankees scored 3 and 3 runs over their last couple of games against the Royals, so they don't really come into this game swinging the hottest bats, if I'm being honest, especially considering they were the 3rd highest scoring team in the majors this season, 3rd in runs scored, 3rd in on-base percentage, and 4th there in slugging percentage. In their last game against the Royals, obviously only scoring 3 runs there. Garrett Cole had an amazing start, but we just didn't see him hit the ball that well, despite Torres looking great there at the top of the order. Judge got a hit in that game, but yeah, it just doesn't feel like they were able to put a ton of runs on the board. 8 hits, 3 runs. Need to be bunching the hits up a little bit better. Obviously, I'm not saying this is a terrible offense. I'm just saying they don't come into this game swinging the hottest bat. So we'll see what we get from the Yankees sluggers out there in this one. Obviously, guys, they are going to come into this game as significant favorites. We've got the Guardians at plus 145 in this game. The Yankees at minus 160. We've got an over-under of 7.5. Cleveland, 42-39 on the road this season. They are 45-30-6 to the under on the road. The Yankees are 45-37 at home. 46, 34, and 2 to the over at home. Guys, in terms of the side in this one, I'm not super interested in either one. I'm honestly going to be leaning a bit here towards the Guardians at plus 145. It's just too good of a price, and in a situation where I think both starting pitchers are pretty bad, that makes me want to go ahead and take that plus money. But that's not my favorite bet on this one, guys. I like the over here. Over 7.5 seems extremely live to me. We'll see. Obviously, betting overs in the playoffs doesn't feel amazing, but I don't love where either starting pitcher is at right now. And while I do like the Guardians bullpen a good amount, the Yankees are a team that can definitely hit. The Guardians are also a team that can hit a little bit, so getting over 7.5 seems very reasonable to me in this game. I like that a little bit more than I like the side. In terms of some player props for this game, guys, I like yes run first inning, especially yes run first inning. Both starters are not very good in my opinion. You could also take over in the first 5 or something like that. That would make a ton of sense to me. I would maybe even like that a little bit more than I like the over the entire course of the game, but we're going to stick with that over 7.5. If you are determined to make a first run inning, bet there, I like yes run first inning at -110 just a little bit. A pitcher prop that I like in this game a good amount. I think Rodon probably not going to have the best day out there. I like him under 5.5 strikeouts in this game. It's -155, so not an amazing price, but I just don't feel like he's going to have an amazing outing. In a game where I think there's going to be a good amount of offense, I definitely want to look at some hitting props here. I think Aaron Judge to hit a home run in this game at +320 is extremely live. Like I was saying, not loving Alex Cobb out there. I think we can see Judge take advantage of him very early in this game. I also like Torres out there to get a hit. The dude's been absolutely mashing lately, looking very good out there. Obviously -240 for a hit, it's not an amazing price, but you could pair that with some other bet, and I think you would be in very good shape. I also like Jose Ramirez if you're looking for a home run prop there for the Guardians. He's a little bit due to hit a home run, and at +340, very reasonable odds there to me. So yeah, he's got a chance every time he's at the plate, and especially when he's at the plate against Rodon. I also like Quan here. He's been doing really well there at the top of the order for Cleveland. I'm expecting good stuff from him. You can get him over 1.5 total bases at +160. I think that's a very reasonable spot. Expecting good stuff from Quan in this game, no doubt about it. Last but not least, guys, I like Lane Thomas to get a hit in this game. He has been swinging the bat very well in his last game. The last game against Detroit there as they closed it out, he hit a grand slam off of Skubal, so very crazy stuff there. We saw him, look very good in that game. He had 2 hits in that game, so yeah, I'm expecting that little hot streak to continue a little bit in this one. Unfortunately, guys, that's all the games we have for today. Hit that like button for good luck on all of your bets, and subscribe to the channel if you're new. Let me know in the comments any questions you have on today's slate. Thanks for watching. You can click the link in the description to check out stumpthespread.com, and we will see you guys tomorrow for more sports betting action.